The front wing. It's the first part of a Formula One car that pierces through the air at upwards of 300 kilometers an hour. But what it does with that airflow, that's the key. And the focus of this edition of The Building Blocks.
The front wing is obviously one of the fundamental elements in the car.
For years, the front wing has played a pivotal role in creating downforce, the downward pressure that pushes the car into the ground, allowing for much better handling on high-speed corners. However, on this current generation of F1 car, the role of the front wing has changed. Mercedes head of trackside engineering, Andrew Shovlin, explains.
Fundamentally, the front wing where it is on the car, it generates a lot of load now. So there's a lot of area there. And principally, the job of that is actually just to generate high pressures on the top surface, and that creates a lot of the front downforce on the car. You're obviously then trying to not take all the energy out of the air, because the main downforce generating device now is the floor by quite some margin. And you're trying to make sure that the air that's then sort of running under the floor, you've got good, clean, high energy flow going there.
If what Shovlin calls the good air is being directed under the floor, what's happening to the dirty air, otherwise known as wake? McLaren team principal Andrea Stella.
The front wing flow does interact with the shape of the suspension elements, and this, believe it or not, actually the main role is to try and keep the wake of the tires. Obviously the Formula One is a very aerodynamic object, but the tires are very non-aerodynamic objects, so a lot of the work of the other parts that you can manipulate from a shape point of view is to minimize the wake behind the tires, and if this wake kind of impinges the bodywork, then it reduces the performance. That's what you might have heard in the past, the famous outwashing. You outwash because you want to outwash the wake of the tires.
When Stella references outwashing, he's talking about an engineering strategy to push all that airflow away from the car and its tires. This begins the front wing and is aided by the front suspension. Small details that can make a huge difference in one of the building blocks to taking a team back to the top step of the podium.
Lando Norris wins for the first time in Formula One. It's victory in Miami for Norris and McLaren.